regard as others right. Then that kind of ego, or because of the sense of strong self, is negative, to extreme.
So balance is really the answer in the Buddhism, in most things. Balance. Yes.
And I think the basics of Buddhism is a concept. They put it some interdependent way. The mental level as well as the physical level, very much is interdependent or interact. So you see, under certain circumstances, you see, due to other factor, which is a certain emotion, then could be very harmful. But because of another, you see, circumstances, you see, due to other factor, you see, that emotion could be, you see, positive.
But does it then value passion, great excitement? Does it value kind of it completely living with your complete soul, heart and mind? I mean, in such great passion, in these kind of ecstatic states, Buddhism, does it value ecstatic states?
Excitement.
Or living very passionately in a great
too much excitement.
Ecstatic states, does Buddhism value that as a human, something positive human thing also, or not?
Excitement is one way. Too much excitement.
Not ecstatic, yeah, too much excitement.
I don't know. If we achieve Nirvana or Moksha, then I think worthwhile to be too much excited. But I think usually, you see, my experience, you see, better to remain more, you see, neutral or more balanced. You see, too much excited, then you see sometimes, very often you see lead too much unhappy.
Yeah. So it's depend whether one wants to take
too much,
the risk,
you see, the
or
ups
not.
and down.
Yeah.
It's not good. So better, maybe you see that kind of you see way of life or way of thinking, maybe less colorful, but long run, even physically also, I think better. Yeah. That's my experience or my feeling.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I just like colors myself.
If we could interrupt this briefly, if you could pass down your questions to the center aisles, please. People will pick them up and bring them to us on the stage. Do that as quickly as possible. Your Holiness, if I could start the questions. The Western traditions have various techniques for training the mind, for trying to help people who are unable to cope with sufferings of the mind. And essentially there are two strategies, either the new biochemical processes, where you take medication to get over depression or anxiety and change the biochemistry of the brain, or the more Freudian process of therapy, where the patient talks to a therapist and articulates what may be unacknowledged or hidden anxieties. What is the approach in the Tibetan tradition to training the mind?
The body element and actually
it depends upon different cases. In the case of those people having serious sort of physical imbalance or physical problems, then that should be cured through biological means.
Then purely, you see, the psychological, or I don't know, purely mentally, then one way I think they express, right? That I usually feel there is a certain experience what say in the past is something has happened, and due to that you always feel some uncomfortable or fear or something, and so then such case may be helpful to express. But then, like the hatred or anger or negative the attachment or these emotions, these things, then they kasa yang can koshuk
But then there are sort of basic negative emotions like anger, attachment, and hatred, which if you let them rise within you, they would continue to do so.
That's just clear according to my own experiences. Once you realize the negativeness or the harmfulness about anger or hatred, once you develop that awareness and you take some kind of position, distance from these, the negative emotion, that kind of attitude itself make impact on negative emotion. So you see, they better to some cases better to directly have to control or.
Your Holiness, there's a question here which asks that Your Holiness is considered a reincarnation, and you mentioned this idea of karmic imprint. So at the time of death, what happens to the mind, or what is it that moves from one incarnation to the next and carries forward the mental imprints?
That the previous, I think much depends on the previous lives, the mental capacity through samadhi or through the mental training, especially the quality now, samadhi like this. With these experience, then there is some memory and also some, I think, certain other is mental quality. Then it is something sustainable. So then, in such case, the next life, at the time of next life, some of the experience of quality, mental quality of the past life, then you see, intense way. No. Intact way.
Intact.
Yes. But usually, you see, change the body. You see, naturally, you see, the grosser level of mind, you see, completely change because of this new body. So the previous life at the time of previous life, you see, certain mental quality which very much, you see, on the level of grosser level of mind. Then you see the grosser level is completely changed. So the next life, not much traces there. But then you see some kind of influence or imprint, or some kind of, you see, the small influence due to previous lives, you see, experience. That certainly is there.
Would you say that it is the subtle mind that you mentioned that moves from one incarnation to the next?
Oh, that's right.
And if it is a subtle mind, at the time of death, once the gross mind and the gross body have fallen away, it is the mind that directs itself? At the time of death,
yes, that's right.
there are practices and trainings in the Tibetan tradition that teach you how to manage the mind, as it were, how to direct the mind. So once the gross body and the gross mind have fallen away, what is it that directs the mind to a suitable incarnation in the next life?
So that 차에 쉐발라 때문에 연대 그제 숙체유네 디 겨워지면들 숙체유 사리서.
It depends upon the quality of the subtle mind.
차에 쉐발라 때문에 연대스나 냠뇽.
It very much depends on the quality, dependent quality of the experience which is carried forward by that very subtle mind. So depending upon the experience, there will be different impacts.
Those experiences which closer relation with subtle mind, then these experience often greater possibility is it to
be transmitted to
yes. 그게 뭐라 참 참고 그도 있네 그 용대 거 봐. 비자거든. 뭐라 봐. 대야 배시 자와의 지 시베균 가서 무튼 유대버지 고런 신체. 다 시베균 무튼 유대버 될 때는 다시베 남 가사기 균디 무튼 얘기부터 신체다 내절로서 아무도 개미도와. So that this 상당히 그런 정도로 말해서 다 레디 돌링 거야. 액션 previous action control.
Continuation and the transmigration of that subtle mind, in fact, is a kind of natural process. And likewise, the self which is being designated on that subtle mind and transference of that self to the next life is also a kind of natural process. And then, of course, as explained earlier, whether that mind carries with it a positive imprint or negative imprint depends very much upon your...
what kind of life? More positive life or more negative life? That is due to the previous action or karma.
Your Holiness, there is a question here about the use of a popular drug in the West called Prozac. And Prozac is used by people to change the biochemistry in their brain so that they can feel happier. What would Your Holiness's response be to this technique to the pursuit of happiness?
First of all, complete ignorance about this drug. I don't know. I don't know. I have no experience. But usually, my position is the drug research in the patient, they treat them as
normally, although he says he's ignorant about what is this drug is, but he says normally the kind of happiness or something that you're expecting from these drugs and what you will get actually is just a kind of hallucination.
Like I think too much alcohol, right? Alcohol, you see, at certain period, you see, you lost I think the genuine sense way. Now you see, in our life, you see, there are always some kind of problem, always there. It's much depend on your own mental attitude. Otherwise, there's some kind of problem always there. So that is reality. Despite that reality, due to some chemical, if you feel, oh, everything okay, that's illusion. Illusion.
So it's a kind of creating more illusion.
Oh. So then for that, tenzing wangi tuna yebres, that tuna the kaza yebe tolja, tuna savage go have into the
normally, Holiness on many occasions has repeatedly said that because of our basic problem
from the Buddhist viewpoint.
From Buddhist viewpoint, we have this basic problem of being confined within the ignorance. And therefore we are clouded with a strong, thick sort of illusion, wall of illusion. And in addition to that, we are not in need of more illusions.
So I myself also feel, I think it's better to have sort of realistic. And then on that basis, try to develop certain kind of outlook. It's a problem, physical illness or some negative surrounding. It's negative. It is bad. It is source of suffering. It is bad. But then much depend on your outlook, mental attitude. If you think from wider perspective, or even more subtle level of suffering, then you can feel these are okay. These are the problem. Of course, worthwhile to eliminate or overcome, get it off. But then if you look from wider perspective, you may have some kind of inner strength, to face these problems more easily. So that's the proper way.
To be clear-eyed.
There's a question for both Dr. Kakar and Your Holiness. What do Buddhists and Western thinkers say about madness and mystical experience and the way towards wisdom? If I could sort of frame this first for Your Holiness, that in Buddhist terms, if a person was mad or mentally handicapped, what would be his capacity for mental evolution and seeking to attain Nirvana?
Normally,
because of certain physical handicap, or if your sense consciousness is not functioning or your consciousness not clear.
Relationships, in fact, become much stronger. They're much more closer, affectionate, so you see it in the faces. So there are differences. One has started kind of differentiating madness from mysticism. The big difference, of course, not upon the persons, madness is defined as loss of touch with reality. Now, reality nobody knows, so it is a consensual reality. What most people think is reality, and if somebody loses touch with it, now the question comes, is he a madman, artist, mystic, or what? And that is then where all these differentiations take place. But important thing is question of choice. A madman does not choose, a mystic does. So the question of having a choice, I think, is the most important part.
Your Holiness, what would be an explanation or understanding or insight of mystical experience in the Buddhist tradition?
The mystical study, remove
There may be many different levels.
even if you do genuine practitioner, he or she can experience different kind of mystical experiences. But the initial stage, these mystical experiences are not at all reliable. So if we too much attach or too much consider these are something important or something great experience, that's absolutely wrong. And there is a great danger. Once you see through your own through your own mental development, through practice, increase, then you see certain to ordinary people, you see they looks mysterious experience, but for that is a particular person, because of that experience, you see they already, he or she already developed the causes. So you see the manifestation or the reflection of that deeper experience, then it comes as a normal one. These are something reliable. So I think we have to make distinction.
There's a question, Your Holiness, that asks, you've used the word Nirvana, Moksha, and Enlightenment. What happens to the mind when a person attains these states?
According to the Madhyamika philosophy, the person or the self is still there, the mind is still there, even up to the Buddhahood. You see, the Buddha stage also, the individual identity is still there. According to some, like Vivashik is a school of thought, after Mahaparinirvana, after his Mahaparinirvana, no longer is that person exist. The mind also ceases. So if that is the true, I prefer not Nirvana. I prefer this life. Oh, much experience. Then Mahaparinirvana, no feeling, no nothing. That I don't know. I don't think it is something positive.
If I might, a Buddhist saying which I love about Nirvana, the difference that before Nirvana you eat, drink, and sleep. After Nirvana you eat, drink, and sleep, but differently.
This question is raising the issue of the collective mind, that sometimes it's groups of people, nations and communities, as your own, experience suffering. What are the causes for that kind of suffering?
Different classifications and categories of karma or action.
So this
question relates to the sort of collective karma.
In fact,
the topic dealing with the karma is in fact a very wide subject.
Could you say say a little about collective karma? I mean, this would, can there be a collective karma? I mean,
now,
this
for example,
is
now, for example, the Tibetan, now today, you see, the Tibetan is a whole nation, you see, passing through some kind of suffering. Now, you see, the common cause for this, you see, because of common suffering, I feel, I do believe, you see, they not necessarily, you see, the present generation, not necessarily, how to say, they committed that karma at one place commonly, right? But you see, may committed, you see, that karma, same amount of karma, at you see, different places or different time. Since you see, these same amount, so then you see, under particular circumstances, they born at one place, then since you see, they similar category of you see, karma, so that they would young community thana ya sabit ne yung mendo ya.
So because of that, they are now experiencing a result, it's a kind of common suffering. And then, of course, at the same time, it is also possible that karma might have committed in the past collectively by a group of sending being or group of people.
Now, for example, you see this. I mean, even our today's life, or today's world, is some is a war. Say it's the First World War. There's millions of people involved. And people who are making weapons, you see, these, you see, if you see there is some kind of intention is there, motivation is there, then you see there millions of people involved. So you see that creates a common common karma.
Your Holiness has frequently articulated an empathy with the philosophy of Gandhi, yet there is a distinct difference between the Buddhist approach, where there is an emphasis on the motivation of the mind, and Gandhiji, who held that the means were as important as the ends. How do you reconcile the two?
Has to be determined, relating it to what kind of motivation involves those actions.
Now, for example, you see a certain action, verbal action, as well as a physical action, appears as a non-violence, very gentle, very peaceful. But now, for example, you see using a nice word and a big smile, things like that, but the motivation, try to cheat or something. Then you see that appears non-violence, but because of the motivation, you see, essentially it is just a kind of violence. The contrary, with so much user concern, compassionate motivation, and some wrathful method, or the rough word. You see, the solely, purely, solely, you see, to improve that situation or to stop that negative thing, then such case, there looks violence, but essentially it's non-violence. But then again, I think the physical action also, I think we have to see, we have to take this consideration. I feel, you see, it cannot justify, you see, certain violence action, 가서래, 저번에 주부인데 내 군ung 상부 인생 라바 있네 패지 가고 채면 거다. 저번 주부디 간다 저번디 개셔부터 과시 쳐도 와.
At the same time, we must not forget the importance of disciplined behavior, physical behavior. For example, you can't justify saying that I have a proper motivation and then do certain rough, violent physical activities.
But Your Holiness, it struck me that it is a very psychological view of that an act is defined by its motivation. That is what determines what an act, meaning of an act is by its motivation rather than its consequences or the actions itself or description.
Yes.
Another question sort of brings back the idea of reincarnation. and asks, if Buddhism is open to scientific questioning, why does the belief in reincarnation survive? There is no support in science or reason for this.
Tadi, science thane. I think first of all, I feel the present concept of science, I think is much involved the type of investigation towards something which can be measured or calculate. So is it the concept of mind or concept of self itself? You see, we cannot measure. So I think up to now, I think the science field, I feel, from the Buddhist viewpoint, I think it's a little bit is limited. So you see, about mind, about the consciousness, then perhaps I think the outside, the present is a scientific field. Now, you see, already is some, I think the much sophisticated or much deeper experiment about his brain, you see, about the experience of dying people. I think you see, these perhaps I think may lead more wider sort of is a field. But then another thing, the science to much money but memory when you
But then at the same time we must differentiate between these 2 points. What science has not found and what science has not
found.
Something as non-existing.
Found non-existence and do not find.
May I just add to it, Your Holiness, because you have been stressing, and very convincingly so, the scientific, that it is, and it's not, you are quite right, science keeps on changing, it may, but the basic of that, the scientific, the disbelief, would you say that you would be ready to disbelieve in reincarnation if the proof is there?
Oh yes, yes. I think strictly speaking, from the Buddhist Buddhist attitude, if you scientist through scientist experiment or investigation, 100% you see convincing, you see show that you see no more as the continuation of mind, then of course we have to accept. But now you see here, you see these drupjig rigba da drupcho ne drupjig rigba gakcho ne neba neji da dini thane do jabachi dane.
Normally when we investigate certain subjects, we investigate it from 2 viewpoints. One is the kind of logic or syllogism that we use to establish that subject to that point. Another is to see whether if we accept certain thing has any opposing factors or something which comes to find its authenticity.
So now the rebirth theory, you see, involves two ways. One is that there are people, you see, who have clear memory about past life. Among Indians also, you see, among I think, even today, there are some people who have very clear memory about past life. So that's one thing. Then also the very existence of mind, without its own continuity causes, it is difficult to exist. These are the one reason. Another, if there is no continuation of life, then goes why is this whole universe or world happen? Without cause, that also unacceptable. There must be some causes. Then you see the concept of creator, that also raises a lot of contradiction. So therefore, you see, it seems more, at least for Buddhist, is more comfortable. The theory of rebirth is the beginningless of life, beginningless of being, due to their action or karma, whole universe come and go and come and go. But it's still mysterious, difficult.
Prayer mats.
Correct.
Prayer mats on the little carpets that the monks pray on, which said "Pray for the Chinese." And
Pray kare, Maramji say. Yes.
What is the mindset that prompts monks to pray on a prayer mat that says "Pray for the Chinese"? And what benefit does it bring them?
Can you also ask us? Ka. Ne. Ne. Oh. I don't know. But of course, the Buddhist, Buddhist way, or genuine Buddhist practitioner, of course, is your, the enemy, or so-called enemy, or the community, or the person, individual person, or group of person, who creates some problem on yourself. You see, that is the real opportunity to practice patience and tolerance in order to improve your genuine compassion. You see, practice of tolerance is very, very essential. So for that practice, of course, the enemy is something very, very important. That's one way to look. Then also, you see, like you see Chinese, or Chinese brothers, sisters, when you see Buddhist, particularly in Mahayana, you see the system, usually we refer the other sentient being as a mother sentient being. So you see, there's no point to exclude those people, or those people who created the trouble. So now this case, our case is particularly the Chinese, of course, including Chinese also in the mother sentient being, of course. So we have to we have to think about them. Now here I think one good story, good story is a good example, I think. Good example. One monk who spent more than I think 17 or 18 years in Chinese prison camp or labor camp. Then in late 80s, he, with Chinese permission, he joined with me. Before 1959, he served with me, one monk. Now I think his age, I think, is 70. Now when he arrived in Dharamsala, and because we know each other very well, so I asked about his experiences. Then he, while he explaining about his experiences, then he told me few occasions he really faced some danger. Then I thought danger means to his life or something. Then what danger? I asked, and he told, losing compassion towards Chinese. I think this is, very wonderful. Wonderful experience.
That's wonderful.
So you see, this is, although I consider him not learned, quite a simple monk, but that kind of word come from that simple monk. I really see, since then, my attitude to him a little bit higher. So I think that is the reflection of our practice. Of course, not all Tibetan. Another story. One Tibetan who come from Kasode, same area, my place, Amdo area, who stay in India. One day I asked him, do you angry towards Chinese? And before his answer, his word come, he already shaking his kasadi. his cheeks, and his face become red. Then say, oh yes, of course. Such Tibetan also there. So I said, people variety.
As a final question, and 2 or 3 people have asked this. They say that despite their study of Buddhism and other faiths, and they're reflecting on this, they experience great confusion. What parting advice can you give to people present here, particularly the questioners, as to how they can achieve greater clarity and happiness?
Perhaps I think some Westerner here also, I think. They generally, my suggestion or advice is, the people from different country, firstly, I think they should follow their own traditional religion. That's better. If one, want to follow some faith, some religion, then it is better to follow one's own traditional value or religion. Because I notice there's some Westerner who, without, I think, a proper, careful, thought, certainly change the religion. Then later, experience some kind of confusion. So it is better to follow your tradition. Then in case you really find the Buddhist way of approach is more effective, more sort of logical, seems like that, then you should think, wait, so and I think it's worthwhile to spend, some time, sufficient time to think, to examine. Then finally, really feel is more effective, more suitable to you according to your mental disposition, then okay, it is individual right to adopt this new religion. But then this is not directly connected with this question, but usually is I telling that even you change your personal sort of religion, usually there is, as a human being, there is a tendency in order to justify your decision, a little bit critical view towards your previous religion. That is very, very bad. That we must avoid. Although individual case, the Buddhism is more approachable or more suitable, that does not mean that other millions of people still get other millions of people also have no value or no effect. No, still millions of other people getting the benefit from your previous religion. Now here, I found some practitioner, at the beginning, I think too much expectation. Then also due to, I think, some of our teachers also, when they give teaching, they sometimes they hesitate to say through this practice or within 3 years you can achieve Buddhahood, something like that. So I usually describe these kind of word is Chinese propaganda. You cannot achieve. Of course, exceptional case, like the previous history. In the previous time is some really great master. There are some cases, very few, within a short period, they may achieve the highest spiritual realization. But generally, even like the Milarepa, he spent so many years through hardship. So I think right from the beginning, too much expectation. That is wrong. That's not good. I always I myself also think about the limitless eons. That gives me inner strength, rather than think the 3 years or one lifetime. If we think more about the eons, limitless eons, then this really gives me some kind of inner strength, a life. Nothing. about 100 years life period. It's nothing. So I think that's my one advice or suggestion. Then another thing, I found some practitioner, they grasp chikujuni.
Yes, true. So
Grasping, you see, one practice without knowing the background,
without getting proper information of the
whole Buddhist system.
idea or philosophy.
So I think, you see, our mind, the negative emotion, or the processing, shaping the mind is something like the water. If you put some water in a say flexible vessel, then you see danger is to
There's danger of water running.
then you see you take care there. Then if something is happening here, to take care. Something here, take care. Like that. The transformation of our mind, not through just one effort or one practice. Our mind, one way, very weak, we can change. One way, very strong, very sophisticated. So when you emphasis more on learning, you may develop proud way. Once you emphasize the less is pride, they sometimes you see losing self-confidence. When you see develop more self-confidence, and pride also is come. So it's so much sophisticated. So antidote to that also should be very sophisticated. Think about impermanence, think about eons, think about Buddha nature, think about the ultimate reality of emptiness, and also think about the mental the potential. Think various way. And then when you see something damaging this side, then one particular method adopt. Something about to happen here, then use another method. That's the way to shape, to shape or to change our mind. So it takes time. So for that reason, you see, it is very, very important to know because of the basic structure of the Buddhist practice. But I don't know. That's my feeling.
Thank you, Your Holiness. On behalf of all of us present here, the India International Center and the Foundation for Universal Responsibility, our profound appreciation for your time and sharing with us your wisdom, your erudition, and your infectious joy of living. Dr. Kakar, thank you for sharing with us your erudition, and Lakpador for interpreting.
Thank you very much.
Are you going to kind of